chest to wall handstands. This is my #1 go-to drill to train people to build the correct shoulder stability, shoulder mobility to support themselves overhead in a freestanding handstand. But we need to keep a few points of performance in mind when performing this movement. So, point of performance #1, when we're upside down, and I'm gonna demo these all once I'm upside down, but I wanna talk about them first. So, mistake #1 or point of performance #1, we wanna be looking at the floor in between our hands the entire time. The flip side to that is tucking our chin and looking at the wall. What happens with that is that allows us to compensate and not actively open our shoulders as much as we need to for the actual freestanding handstand, which is a nice segue into point of performance #2. We want to be actively pushing away from the wall as much as possible, thinking about shrugging our shoulders into our ear. That's going to create that active shoulder position. Then point of performance #3 we want to focus on is thinking about keeping our hips actually against the wall the entire time. What this does is create this nice, what's referred to as a plumb line, where we have a straight line from the wrist, elbow, shoulders, and then when I'm upside down, hip, knees, and ankles. So that keeps me nicely stacked. It forces me to open my shoulders up in this active position, as opposed to what you'll see in a moment, piking the hips and letting them remove from the wall, which actually takes the load off of my shoulder, places more of the load on my upper back. So what all of those things look like together, I'll also demo the errors or what we want to avoid. So in this chest to wall handstand position, hopefully I don't lose my mic. So we want to be actively looking between our hands as opposed to tucking the chin. That's the first one. The second one's going to be, I want to have active shoulders. These are relaxed shoulders. That's actively pushing away from the floor. Lastly, you can see I have this huge gap you could drive a bus through on the side here. We don't want this. We want to be pushing our hips into the wall, which creates a straight line, once again, from my wrist, elbow, shoulders, all the way to my ankles. Keep all of these points of performance in mind when working on your chest to wall handstand, and they're going to have the greatest amount of transferability to an actual freestanding handstand. Make sure you focus on quality over quantity and really take your time with it.